Welcome, Corey Quinn here. You've tuned in to a bonus episode of the Deep Specialization Podcast. For a limited time, every week, we're releasing a chapter of my new book, Anyone, Not Everyone, a proven system to escape founder-led sales. This is in addition to the weekly episode that we release every Wednesday. In case you don't know me, I'm a 17-year veteran of the agency space. I was recently the chief marketing officer at an agency called Scorpion. While there, we grew revenue from 20 million to 150 million. We also grew the sales team from 6 people to 100. We grew the company from 100 people to 1,000, and we grew the number of clients from 1,000 to 14,000. My passion is helping agency owners simplify their marketing and escape founder-led sales by becoming a vertical market specialist. I wrote this book because through my experience in scaling Scorpion and also working with my agency owner clients and interviewing many more on my podcast, this very podcast you're listening to, I've seen the awesome power of specializing in a vertical market can have in scaling. By listening to the book, I hope you embrace and deploy the strategies and tactics I share. If you want to get the full audiobook for free, you can go to anyonenoteveryone.com. That's anyonenoteveryone.com. It's available today. Now onto the episode. Step 2. Study your vertical market buyer. Chapter 6. Get into the mind of your vertical buyer. You'll learn more in a day talking to customers than a week of brainstorming, a month of watching competitors, or a year of market research. Aaron Levy, CEO of Box. Now that you have identified a vertical market to target, let's talk about how to get into their heads so your marketing stands out. When it comes to marketing, it's excruciatingly easy to waste money. The biggest contributing factor to this waste is a lack of relevancy. Buyers ignore marketing that is irrelevant to them. The reason is oversaturation. Each of us is exposed to 5,000 marketing messages per day. Our brains are wired to screen out 100% of the messages that don't directly speak to us, our needs, desires, and fears. For example, let's say you're a plastic surgeon who recently launched a private practice and you're looking for new patients. You see the following 2 advertisements from 2 different digital marketing agencies. Which advertisement headline would you be more likely to notice? Headline number 1. Just launched your plastic surgery practice? We help fill your new practice with great patients. Headline number 2. Just launched a new business? We help fill your business with great customers. The first headline is obviously more relevant and would catch your eye. You want your vertical buyers to not only notice your marketing, but be magnetized by it. You do this by first understanding their needs, desires, and fears. Then you communicate to them in a way that reflects that understanding while tipping them off that you're an insider to their world. Doing so requires you to do the emotional labor of understanding your vertical buyer's specific context, what they care about, what motivates them, and even what scares them. Interview your vertical clients. It's tempting to assume you already know the inner workings of the buyer in your vertical. It's especially tempting if you've been serving them for an extended period. However, the more intentional you could be about improving your understanding of your buyers and either validating or disputing the assumptions you have about them and their preferences, the better you can market to them in a way that breaks through the noise. There are many ways to research your buyers, including conducting surveys, doing focus groups, or observing them using your product. But those methods leave you with a surface-level understanding due to a lack of real-time interaction and the ability to ask follow-up questions. The best way to truly understand clients and their motivations is to interview them one-on-one. By following the specific framework I'm about to share with you, you'll gain a new understanding about your buyer that exponentially strengthens your marketing. Client interviews are widely discussed, yet rarely executed by most teams. But for committed founders, this is not busy work. In fact, real revelations emerge from these dialogues. Take the experience of the Giftology Group, a firm that excels in keeping clients in the forefront of minds. "We never saw ourselves as an agency," said John Rulin, the founder of Giftology Group. He continued, "More like gifting experts, executive assistants, maybe concierge." However, their tailored customer interviews unveiled a startling truth. Their clients were their own biggest impediment. Repeatedly in these interviews, they encountered the same refrain, quote, "We know we should be investing more in relationships, but we've never got around to it because, well, this excuse or that," end quote. Desire existed for their clients, yet urgency did not. John continued, "That's when we recognized our role in enforcing accountability. It's akin to having a 5 a.m. gym buddy. You might skip solo workouts, but you never let your partner down. We became the gym partner," end quote. What does a successful client interview look like? Client interviews are not a social conversation with your favorite client. They also aren't opportunities to confirm your existing assumptions or gather opinions about your ideas. Instead, a client interview is a guided and structured conversation designed to uncover often hidden beliefs, behaviors, and goals of your buyer. The conversation is designed to challenge your assumptions and biases while providing you with an opportunity to learn actionable insights. Once you've completed 7 to 10 of these interviews, you'll easily identify patterns in client responses, which you can turn into insights to use in your marketing. More on that soon. Types of client interviews. Smart agency founders and their teams regularly interview their clients across all stages of their clients' life cycles. Here's a high-level overview of the types of client interviews. Type of client interview: buyer's journey, the target audience, individuals who make the buying decisions. It's designed to understand how and why they buy. Type of client interview: win-loss. Target audience: clients who went through your sales process. Designed to understand sales effectiveness. Type of client interview: churn or win-back. Target audience: ex-clients. Designed to understand why they left. Type of client interview: user interviews. Target audience: users of your product or service. Designed to understand how they use your product or service. For the purposes of this audiobook, we're going to primarily focus on the buyer's journey client interview. Deep specialization pro tip: don't cram 2 or more types of interviews into a single 30-minute session, as it's too much to cover and you'll end up only scratching the surface. Instead, dedicate the time to one type of client interview, the buyer journey, so you can get a deep look into your buyer's beliefs, behaviors, and goals. 3 steps to successful buyer journey client interviews. This entire 3-step process, including the client calls and compiling the analysis and takeaways, shouldn't take more than a total of 10 hours over 2 to 3 weeks. If you're going over 10 hours, you're probably overdoing it. Step 1, interview prep. Setting objectives and outcomes. This process begins with the end in mind. Just like constructing a building, you wouldn't start without a clear blueprint. That's why defining your research objectives and desired outcomes is crucial. The first step is to sketch out your plans for what you want to achieve from your client interviews. Defining your objectives and outcomes organizes your thoughts, improves the quality of your questions, and helps ensure the clients you're interviewing have a good experience. Your primary objective is to understand how and why clients in your vertical buy from you. Your primary outcome is to complete the client interview section in the companion workbook. You'll use this later to refine your agency's positioning and messaging. If you don't have 7 to 10 clients to interview in your vertical, invite your best fit clients from any vertical. While this will limit what you learn about your vertical itself, you will certainly gain insights about your client's buying journey what they value about working with you, and why they stay with you. What you're looking to uncover in the buyer journey interview. There are 5 key buying criteria you're looking to uncover in the client interviews. Number 1, the biggest challenges your client had with the former solution. Number 2, the rational and emotional consequences of doing it the old way. Number 3, what caused them to finally make a switch. Number 4, how and where they researched alternatives to their current solution. Number 5, why they bought your services. Insights on these 5 key buying criteria will give you more clarity on your vertical's buying process, which you can later use in your marketing, positioning, and messaging. Here's a breakdown of each one. Number 1, the biggest challenges your client had with the former solution. The goal is to learn 2 or 3 of their big challenges. Why this is important? There is a high likelihood that the big challenges your vertical clients faced before hiring you will be the same challenges your future vertical clients are currently facing. Knowing what these challenges are and using them in your marketing will help increase your relevancy and build insider trust. For example, let's say you're an SEO agency and your vertical is family law attorneys. Through your buyer journey interviews, you learn that prior to working with you, the common challenge your family law attorney clients face was spending a lot of money on SEO that only yielded low-value child support cases from it. In this example, only getting low-value child support cases is the challenge. Number 2, their rational and emotional consequences of doing it the old way. Goal: to understand the true cost of the problem. Why this is important. Accurately articulating your vertical buyer's problem in your marketing, along with understanding the rational and emotional consequences they face, communicates that you are a specialist in their world, creating deeper relevancy and trust with buyers. Continuing with the previous example, the consequences of working with the family law firm's previous agency were fewer high-value divorce cases, wasted marketing dollars, and missed opportunities. Further, they saw competing firms getting more prominence online, close bigger cases, and get more positive reviews. This left the family law attorney angry, frustrated, and feeling hopeless. Number 3, what caused them to finally make a switch? Goal: to learn the trigger that transformed the issue from a "yeah, we'll deal with it someday" problem to a bleeding neck priority. Why this is important. Communicating this breaking point in your marketing declares that you get them and that you know how to solve their problem. It gets your future buyers leaning in and saying, "Hey, how did you know that?" Continuing with the previous example, you learn that what caused your current family law firm clients to switch was their account manager at the old agency who seemed emotionally disconnected and uninterested in helping. The straw that broke the camel's back? When they went 3 months without a new case from their SEO and were met with consistent indifference from their account manager. They realized the situation wasn't going to change and they needed to start shopping for a better agency ASAP. Number 4, how and where they researched alternatives to their current solution. Goal: to understand what they did the moment they decided to find a new agency, and then the next moment, and then the next, all the way until they decided to sign a contract with you. What were their steps? Where did they go? And who did they talk to? Why is this important? Knowing your buyer's journey gives you clues as to where your future buyers will go to find you, trust you, and ultimately buy from you. This roadmap will greatly influence which marketing channels you invest in. For example, conferences, podcasting, PPC, thought leadership, etc. Continuing with the previous example, you'll learn that once your family law attorney client decides to make a change, the first thing they do was to go on Google to see which of their competitors appear on the first page of results. Then they tried to discover which agencies those competitors use. Then they asked attorneys in their professional networks and groups which agencies they use and recommend. Next, they listen to law firm marketing podcasts to hear what influencers, thought leaders, and their peers had to say. Last, they went to review sites like clutch.co to read reviews from other attorneys using your agency. While the actual buying process isn't always this linear, what's important is to find the patterns in how your current vertical clients find their next agency. Number 5, why they bought your services. Goal: to understand the specific attributes, benefits, and features that cause your vertical clients to trust and ultimately choose you out of the hundreds, if not thousands, of potential options. Why is this important? It's more than likely that your future vertical clients will choose you for the same attributes, benefits, and features that appealed to your current clients. When you know what those are, specifically, you can use them in your sales and marketing to cut through the noise, communicate relevancy, and build trust. To wrap up the example, you learn that your family law attorney clients choose you because you share the same client-first values as they do. You're willing to build a custom SEO strategy for them and take a hands-on approach to optimizing their current site. And you have a ton of positive reviews from other attorneys. Also mentioned in the interviews were relevant case studies on your website, having credible law firms as clients, and that you include intake coaching with your marketing services. The 7 best questions to ask. Your goal with the client interviews is to solicit your buyer's needs, desires, and fears, not to confirm an assumption or a bias that you hope is true. As Chris Voss writes in Never Split the Difference, quote, your goal at the outset is to extract and observe as much information as possible, which, by the way, is one of the reasons that really smart people often have trouble being negotiators. They're so smart, they think they don't have anything to discover. While a client interview is not a hostage negotiation, it's easy to slip into the mindset of, quote, I know this thing to be true, I'm just talking to my client to confirm, end quote. Instead, go into the interviews with an open mind, eager to learn the facts. Your questions should be open-ended and non-leading so you don't get false positive answers that aren't helpful. For example, compare, quote, how did you manage new employee training before partnering with us, end quote, versus, quote, was the way you managed new employees outdated before partnering with us, end quote. In other words, no leading the witness. Here's a short list of questions that you can use to solicit the 5 key buying criteria mentioned above. Feel free to customize them as needed to suit your voice. Question number 1, how did you manage the problem we solved before partnering with us? Walk me through what that was like. Number 2, what were the biggest challenges with the way you used to manage the problem? Number 3, ask about the consequences for each of the challenges they mention. Number 4, when and why did these challenges become a priority to solve? Number 5, what actions did you take to solve these challenges and ultimately find us? Other ways to ask this include, what did you do, or where did you go, or who did you talk to? Number 6, what made you trust our agency? What made you comfortable? And finally, number 7, why did you ultimately go with us? Notice that I listed only 7 client interview questions. You could add more, but try to keep it under 15 questions total. Allocate 3 to 4 minutes for each big topic question, with time for follow-up questions. The follow-up questions usually reveal the big key insights. Consider this example dialogue. Interviewer question. What challenges were you facing with doing everything in-house? Client response. We rarely post it on social media. Interviewer follow-up question. That's interesting that you said that you rarely posted. Could you expand on that? Client response. Sure, we would post maybe once per month. There were times when we went 2 or 3 months without posting at all. Interviewer's follow-up question. What prevented you from posting more often? Discussion guide. An important benefit of documenting your questions before jumping into the client interviews is it ensures you're asking each of your clients the same core set of questions. That way you'll be able to compare their various responses, making it easier to find commonalities, insights, and patterns. Your documented master list of questions is called your discussion guide. The companion workbook includes a free discussion guide template, along with the 7 client interview questions I mentioned before. Setting up interviews with vertical clients. Pull up your list of vertical clients and identify those who you think would be open to giving you 30 to 45 minutes of their time. Not every one of your vertical clients will be able to do this, so I recommend creating an initial list of 15 clients that you feel comfortable reaching out to. These could be clients that you personally dealt with in the sales process, clients who actively engage with your client success teams, or clients who have seen outsized results from working with you. You're initially aiming for 7 to 10 interviews. Research has shown that once you hit around 10 completed interviews, you'll hit saturation, meaning you'll gain relatively few new insights with each additional client interview. Deep specialization pro tip. Schedule 2 initial interviews before scheduling the rest. These pilot interviews will give you an opportunity to try out the questions and make improvements to the process and discussion guide as needed. Then you can proceed with the remainder of the interviews. How you reach out and invite your clients to an interview has an impact on the likelihood of them saying yes. Unfortunately, there really isn't much of an upside to the client by spending time with you and answering questions that will lead to you getting more clients. You'll need to tap into the goodwill that you've built over the life of the relationship with these clients. Sure, you can offer them an incentive of some sort, but this may backfire if they're simply motivated to get the incentive and not genuinely interested in helping you and your company become more successful. Here's a sample script that you can customize for your client outreach. Dear client, it's been too long. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out to see if you'd be willing to have a chat with me. We're seeking to better understand a little bit more about how and why our best clients choose to partner with us. I'm interested in hearing about your experience, so I thought I'd reach out and see if you'd consider it. The 25 to 30 minute call is over Zoom and super casual. It's totally fine to say no, but if you're up for it, just shoot back a yes or a thumbs up and we'll get it booked. Thanks for your consideration. Best, and then your name. The best person to interview for a buyer journey. Your day-to-day contact is not necessarily the person who is the decision maker in the buying process. For example, let's say you're selling Facebook advertising services and your vertical is chain restaurants with more than 10 locations. The primary person who works with you is the restaurant's marketing manager, Sally. She knows the ins and outs of every aspect of your service, is a true power user, and is a vocal advocate for your brand. Even though Sally is wildly familiar with your service, if she's not directly involved with the buying process, she won't be very helpful to interview for the buyer's journey. She may, however, be a great candidate for a user interview. Step 2, during the interviews. Here are some best practices for a smooth client interview. Have a conversation. Nothing creates canned, unhelpful responses quicker than if your client feels you have an agenda or you're trying to get something from them. The best way to establish a friendly, conversational tone is right when you open the call. Here's an opener that I use that tends to put the client immediately at ease. Welcome to the call, Melissa. Thanks for hopping on with me. It really means a lot to us. I asked you to hop on with me because I'm interested in learning more about the period right before you hired our agency, leading up to when you chose us. The plan for the call is I'm going to ask you a few open-ended questions, and you can respond however you want. But just know that there are no right or wrong answers. We're just looking for a better understanding of your experience at that time. It should only take about 20 to 30 minutes. Sound good? Do you have any initial questions for me? Use the discussion guide, be an active listener, and ask follow-up questions. It's commonplace for a client to be cautious or unsure. They don't want to disappoint you, and they may be eager to tell you what you want to hear in order to please. A great technique for transforming a client from cautious to trusting and open is to be an active listener. Active listening means mirroring back what you hear the client say. It communicates that you're genuinely listening and value what they're saying. It also gives them a bit more confidence to open up and go deeper. Deep specialization pro tip. Study your discussion guide before you hop on the interview. Know it inside and out so you can be present and natural on the call. Alternatively, you can position your discussion guide near the camera on your screen. That way you can look directly at the person you're interviewing, but still refer to your questions, without looking at your notebook or on a separate monitor. During the interview, use phrases like, "So let me feed this back to you to confirm I get what you're saying." And then you say what they said, and then ask them, "Did I get that right?" Often they'll confirm and expand on what they said, or you'll uncover an opportunity to ask a follow-up question. Record the call using a real-time transcription service. Recording your client interview calls using a real-time transcription service accomplishes 3 things. Number 1, you'll have an audio archive of exactly what the client said. You can review the verbatim discussion as it actually unfolded. Number 2, you can relax into the conversation and be present with your client, instead of trying to write down everything said. Number 3, you can copy and paste their answers directly into your discussion guide for further review. Close the interview with an invitation. It's likely your client will continue thinking about the conversation after the interview is over and will remember something useful. As you're wrapping up your call, offer them the opportunity to email you if they think of anything else they may have missed. Then thank them for their time and for being a great client. Step number 3, after the interviews. With your 7 to 10 buyer journey client interviews completed, it's time to organize the responses and capture new insights. Organize. Open a blank document and title it Buyer Journey Client Response Master. A template is available in the companion workbook. Copy and paste the questions from your discussion guide into the document. Pull up the call transcripts and copy and paste the verbatim responses from each client below the respective questions and label which client said it. Read through each question and response. Bold or highlight the key phrases that hit on any of the following. Emotions. These are feelings like excitement, frustration, apathy, indifference. Behaviors. These are the frequent activities or actions the person engages in. Problems. These are any specific challenges or pains they talk about that you didn't bring up. Solutions. These are ideas your client might present or that they've already used to solve a problem. Surprises. These are random nuggets that make you go, huh. Look for similar themes, phrases, and words being used across each response. Broader patterns and threads will connect the experiences. Look for mentions of other agencies who they considered before choosing you. These competitors will be worth noting for potential further research. Some do's and don'ts. Do let the responses you gathered guide the insights. Do look for anything that progressed their decisions. Do look for anything that gives you insights about their motivation. Don't cherry pick answers to confirm a bias or assumption. Capture insights. Use the buyer journey summary and takeaways template in the companion workbook to document your insights and takeaways from your client interviews. Or create your own using the 5 buying criteria you are looking to uncover in the client interviews. Number 1, the biggest challenges our clients had with their old solution. Number 2, the rational and emotional consequences of doing it the old way. Number 3, what caused them to finally make a switch. Number 4, how and where they researched alternatives. And number 5, why they bought our services over the other options available to them. Have this document and the Buyer Journey Client Response Master document up on your screens and visible if possible. Finally, summarize the key themes, insights, and takeaways for each buying criteria. What success looks like. You're done with this process when you can confidently identify at least one insight in each of the 5 buying criteria for your vertical. Now that you have an intimate understanding of how and why your vertical buyers buy from you, it's time to work on your deep specialization positioning and differentiation. Chapter takeaways. Understanding the specific needs, desires, and fears of your buyers is essential to creating effective marketing messages and strategies that resonate in your vertical. Marketing efforts often fail due to a lack of relevancy and to oversaturation. A marketing message tailored to your vertical buyer's specific needs, desires, and fears is likely to capture their attention and resonate with them. To gain a deep understanding of vertical buyers, shed your assumptions and actively seek genuine insights into what they care about, their motivations, and fears. The best way to capture these insights and gain a more nuanced understanding is through one-on-one client interviews focused on their buyer journey. Hey, Corey here. I hope you enjoyed that chapter of my book, Anyone, Not Everyone. If you want to get the full audiobook for free, you could do so right now by going to anyonenoteveryone.com. That's anyonenoteveryone.com.